if you click on it, it'll show on the screen. That's cool. Did you show them?
Good morning. Hi. We're still trying to figure out technology.
You're so fancy.
That's old. We old people. You know, I think we've hit that mark of the kids don't have to change all the things when the time changes. I had to change everything for my parents. The VCR. Did we even have DVDs? I don't even think we had a DVD. And then the stove and the microwave and the alarm clock and all the digitals, everything digital. And now our kids don't even know what that is because their phones just change with the time.
I don't even think kids know how to change the time on the stove.
No, I do it.
Although ours is very hard to change.
So does that mean it shows? Good morning.
I don't know.
Good morning.
What's happening?
So
You're trying to see?
I'm trying to see.
Hide messages from the stream.
No.
Show them. Click on them. Click it.
Show. So does that mean hide messages?
Restream said good morning to us?
No, I said good morning. Is that confusing? So are the messages being seen right now?
I don't know, but I just wanted to say thank you for putting up our Christmas tree yesterday. It's not decorated yet.
Can we pan over?
But you brought up the Christmas tree.
Oh my goodness, a pencil tree. A pencil Christmas tree?
Yeah, for our very small house. It fits perfect.
Is that what happens when you're like an older adult?
And that's what happens when you live in a very small house.
Yeah, but we used to have a real tree, then we went to a fake tree. I think we had a fake tree and then a real tree for a number of years. Remember the one year the tree fell like 5 times?
I know. The comfort of our home year round is more important to us than an elaborate tree.
That's why people have pencil trees, so that they don't have to go through change.
We used to have to rearrange.
And that's where we are in our lives. We don't want to change our room around because we're getting old.
We made a reading where the tree used to go, so we don't really have a choice.
You kids, turn down that music.
And we used to rearrange the kitchen table and the love seat, and we don't have a lot of space in here. So I love the pencil tree.
The pencil tree.
And I will decorate it and watch Elf.
Is that your job, decorating, or is that a family job? I remember when it was a family job, and there was a lot of moaning and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
And
you did your part. It's a very significant part.
I did my part. I feel like I did my part. I brought up the tree, set it up. All the lights are on.
I'll show you which bins to bring up, and then
I gotta bring up the bins.
And then I'll decorate the tree.
And then you'll put it all
and
back.
I do it.
Or is that my job?
I bought eggnog.
You did buy.
I bought eggnog.
Eggnog coffee.
I didn't even know that you were putting up the tree, and I bought eggnog. And
I did that as a surprise when you went out.
I know, and I'll watch Elf.
I love Elf.
I know. Or I'll watch a sappy Christmas movie.
What is your favorite Christmas movie? And then when do you set up your tree? I believe that it should be I think it should be in mid-December. But 2 years in a row we're mid-November. And that feels...
Last year I was not
commercial,
employed.
Like a store, like a mall.
Last year I wasn't employed.
You were not employed.
I was not employed, and I saw in my memories that I put the tree up on November 16th.
And so this year we did it earlier.
No, this is November 17th.
Do you think the older we get, the earlier it's going to go?
It's the same day.
Oh, it's the same day.
It was the same day. It was in my Facebook memories.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So when do you put up your tree? And when is like the appropriate time? I think November's too early. And I think I would prefer mid-December.
Lots of people are decorating early this year.
And then when do you take it off? Yeah, because then when do you take your tree down?
Way more elaborate decorating.
Super Bowl?
Before Super Bowl. That's
I remember
a rule in our
once
house.
We took it down at Super Bowl day.
It
was like Super Bowl day.
Because
we had people over. I go, we can't have a Christmas tree up.
I wanted to put Super Bowl decorations on it. I was going to make little.
But I think early
football decorations.
Mid-December, early January tree. This November.
You're okay with it though because I put it out of the way.
Yeah, and that's the whole beautiful thing about a pencil tree. And then real tree, pencil tree, fake tree, what timeline our trees should be on, and then what's your favorite Christmas movie? Mine's Elf. I love Elf.
I'll wait to watch it with you guys.
Hey, buddy. Oh man, so many one-liners in Elf. Let's get our morning read on. We are in November the 17th. We had to turn on the furnace yesterday. I'm that guy. I like to turn on my furnace as late as possible and the AC as early as possible. And everybody brags about the opposite. What can I say? I like to swim against the stream. Grief and action.
Oh boy.
Grief and action. Here's a quote from Mary Lyon. Lyon? Trust in God and do something. Okay. It's important to let ourselves grieve as a pass between yesterday and tomorrow. But we do not have to be controlled unduly by our grief or our pain. There are times when we grieve, surrender to the heaviness, tiredness, and weariness of a circumstance long enough. It becomes time to break out. It comes time to take action. We will know when it's time to break the routine of grieving. There will be signs within and around us. We will become tired of the heaviness. An idea will occur. An opportunity will present itself. We may think, no, too much effort. Do it anyway. Try something, reach out, stretch, do something unusual, something different, something special. A new activity may help trigger the transformation process. Stay up 2 hours later than usual. Make an appointment or do something for yourself that is different from what you usually do. Visit someone you haven't seen in years. Do something to encourage and help the new energy coming your way. We may not feel like breaking out of grief, but it may feel safer, easier to remain in our cocoon. Begin pushing out anyway. Test the walls of your cocoon. Push a little harder. It may be time to emerge. Prayer for today. Today, I will trust God and the process, but I will also take action to help better myself.
No. To help myself.
But I will also take action to help myself feel better.
To help myself feel better.
Dyslexia. Won that round.
I feel, yeah, I think I like that. I think that there's something to be said for making yourself do things that you really don't want to do, especially when you know that you're feeling sad and you know that you're not feeling well. And so I think that grief has like so many different stages. And I think that, there's lots of sadness or depression. And then there's many times when people get into like a deep clinical depression, so they can't make themselves do these things. And that's really serious. And then you need to make yourself go to the doctor or at least call someone and tell someone what's happening. But if you can, you need to try to make yourself, reach out, go visit someone. I like what this is saying, like make an appointment for something that's different from what you usually do. Switch it up a little bit because we can really get stuck in ruts. And I think that, for me coming back from Toronto, I recognized yesterday was our first day back and I knew I had to go get groceries. And I recognized yesterday that I had to leave it. I didn't have to leave the house, but I needed to get my allergy shot. And it was I just wanted to get it over with on Monday. But I left it to like the end of the day because I felt really, really tired. I felt very exhausted.
Like grieved?
And last night I thought I could shut down. Last night I remember thinking, because I woke up in the middle of the night and I remember thinking I could shut right down. Like I could just screech to a halt and just turn inward and curl up into a ball and not get up for a very long time. And then I thought, I know where that goes. I know exactly what happens when I do that. My skin gets really bad. My eating gets really horrible. My mood is terrible. My family doesn't appreciate it. And then I just it's this downward spiral and it's a downward spiral that I have allowed myself to get into. And so.
Well, and then you can go back to yesterday in the victim trap. And so the self-pity, what did you say? Being offended at everything, taking everything personally.
Yeah.
And then that I think the grief can turn into remorse. Your grief can turn into resentment and self-pity. and all that stuff. And then eventually we go use, or we do self-destructive patterns. Yeah. And when I thought of grief, I know that there's different kinds of grief, and obviously there's people and family members that pass away, and there's that grief and the heaviness. And we don't want to sit in that forever. And we want to heal and move out from under that, is what we're saying is I like the cocoon thing. But then there's grief. I remember it being in rehab in 2005, and I had this, it would be grief. And I didn't know what it was, but when they started explaining this stuff, I was like, this is ridiculous that I'm grieving. Like, because grieving is this. This is what grieving is. And so they explain these things, and I'm like, I'm grieving. Like, what's dying? And then I realized my addiction's dying. Right. Like, I'm grieving the loss of my best friend for like the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was so ridiculous that I would be grieving something that was trying to kill me.
Well, and it's kind of the same thing when you ask yourself, like when Kobe Bryant died, why does that impact so many people? Why are so many people impacted by that? And for me, like, you know, we went through a period a few months ago where like several people kind of around us that we knew passed away, but they weren't directly in our life. And so I oftentimes felt like this isn't my grief, but yet what can I allow myself to feel or to experience? And then what do I do with it? And so denying the emotion and denying the loss, you know, and I think that
isn't a good thing, but then coming under it and being consumed by it isn't a good thing. So then how do we do this in a healthy way, breaking out of grief?
And I think that we're in a really tricky time right now where a lot of people are just grieving normal life. A lot of people are really grieving normal life. And I think that there's been like disappointment on top of disappointment on top of disappointment, and change of routine, and the uncertainty and the unknowing layered all on top of each other. And so I think that this is fantastic advice of, you know, it's not too much effort. Do it anyway. Try something, reach out. You know, I was even thinking the other day, like, man, I'm going to start just like phoning somebody more often. When I think about someone, I just want to give them a quick phone call instead of these texts, like, because we're so isolated in our homes, and especially people that live alone, and to stretch ourselves, you know, try a new activity or phone someone that you haven't talked to in a little while.
Yeah. Get out of. And I know even for me, doing something silly like putting away the lawn chairs.
That's good.
Coming for winter and sweeping the floor. And, you know, my favorite physical activity is house cleaning, obviously.
Thankfully.
And so I find like even setting up the tree and accomplishing something brings me out of my cocoon. And so left alone, I sit in that cocoon, and it's this trap that I can get into, and then the self-pity, and then the guilt of not doing anything, and just being consumed by self, really.
I thought that my house wasn't like clean. Like, our house is very tidy. I thought that my house wasn't clean because I didn't have enough time, because I had a full-time job. It turns out that actually that has nothing to do with it.
Nothing.
And that if it was fully reliant on me and my cleaning abilities to keep the people in my home alive by keeping a clean and sanitized environment, we would all be dead.
I think that we wouldn't. I think that the house would be immaculate because
it's not
so much.
But it's not. Everything the media is telling us, everything's telling us. Our son had surgery. I don't sanitize my house.
Why?
I don't know.
Because we don't find it important, and we got other things to do.
Maybe I actually. So, do I really believe that a little bit of good germs is good for you? That's what I was brought up to believe. A little bit of good germs, they're actually good for you.
That sounds like denial of.
They're good for your immune system. That's what I was told. Get a little bit of.
I think we're detracting from our.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Hockey sticks in hands.